Hey there, this is Natalie and I am so excited to be making a video about Attack on Titan Season 4 Episode 1, or Episode 60 of the full Attack on Titan series if you prefer. In this video I'm going to recap and review the episode and then look at some of the most interesting questions it raised, and some of the things that were introduced in the first episode of the final season, getting us stuck straight into this brand new arc in the brand new setting of Marley. Marley. I can't promise to be consistent in how I pronounce that. I have read ahead of the anime in the manga, but I'm going to be making these weekly episode reviews spoiler free and trying to talk about the show from an anime only perspective. So you're safe to watch this whether you're a manga reader or you only watch the anime, as long as you're up to date, because this will contain full spoilers about Season 4 Episode 1 itself, rather than being a more vague review. If you just want a vague review, it was good and I liked it. Please subscribe if you want to see these Attack on Titan final season episode breakdowns each week, and my other Attack on Titan analysis and general content about the series. I've only just started making Attack on Titan content to go alongside my usual ReZero videos, but I have plenty of stuff in the pipeline about Attack on Titan that I hope you're going to enjoy. And I'm really looking forward to talking about each episode of this long-awaited new season, so I really hope you'll join me for that. And with the usual YouTuber nonsense out of the way, let's get into the episode. This episode gave us both a time and a location skip from the ending of Season 3, where we last saw the surviving members of the Survey Corps standing on the beach of what we now know to be the small island that they previously thought housed all of what was left of humanity. The island is known fairly ironically as Paradise Island to the rest of the world, and the rest of the world is still very much alive and in a far more technologically advanced state than the world inside the walls. As we found out from the memories of Eren's father, Grisha Jaeger, the people living on the island are a race known as the Eldians, who are the only people capable of turning into Titans. There are other Eldians who live across the sea in the military dictatorship of Marley, and they're an oppressed class who are maligned by the Marleyans as devils and have their rights heavily restricted. Now, this is due to hatred as a result of an implied period in history where the Eldians used their Titan powers to dominate over other nations. Marley offers special privileges to Eldians who are chosen to become their warriors, and from among the people interested in doing that, they choose the most promising to inherit the Titan shifter powers that are currently in the hands of the Marleyan side. The Marleyans lost control of the Colossal Titan and the Female Titan during their attempt to recover the Founding Titan, which is currently possessed by Eren, though he can't use its abilities because he doesn't have royal blood. The Colossal Titan was given to Armin when Bertolt was defeated, and the Female Titan, well, we don't know because 4 years have passed since the last events we saw inside the walls, but we can perhaps assume that Annie is still in the same crystallized state she put herself in at the end of Season 1. This screw-up by Marley seems to have caused some kind of war between Marley and some allied forces, which Marley has been fighting for the past 4 years. They've put their plans to attack Paradise on hold during this time, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see what the Survey Corps and everybody else we were following on the island have been doing with that time, because now we're getting to learn more about the outside world and the faction that produced the likes of Reiner, Bertolt, Annie and Zeke. The characters the first part of this episode focuses on are a group of young people named Gabi, Falco, Udo and Sophia, who are candidates to inherit the Armoured Titan. This will mean that whoever's chosen will be turned into a regular Titan and then made to eat Reiner. So we know Reiner must be coming up to his 13-year limit as a Titan shifter. While Eren and Armin only found out about the curse of Ymir, the rule that means someone only has 13 years to live as a Titan shifter, at the end of Season 3, where the Marleyans have been weaponizing the power of the Titans for generations, they have a full system in place for the passing on of each Titan shifter power, And the warrior candidates already know that if they get to become Titan Shifter warriors, they will only have 13 years to live. Well, if nothing else kills them first. We also see an older warrior candidate named Colt, who has already been chosen to eat Zeke and become the new Beast Titan Shifter. The Marleyans are trying to win a decisive battle that will end the 4-year-long war against the Allied forces by destroying a fortified port called Slova. Though we see that the enemies of Marley have prepared themselves well for a fight involving Titans and Titan Shifters, with rounds that can one-shot a Titan, and an armoured train designed for slaying the lanky fellas. Marley know about these weapons though, and their plan was to essentially make a suicide squad of disposable Eldians go and blow up the train, before attacking with what they refer to as the Cart and Jaws Titans, and then airdropping in Reiner and Zeke to take the port, which we'll see happen later in the episode. One of the 4 warrior candidates, Gabi, who seems to be the prodigy of the group and considered the most likely to inherit Reiner's powers, has a better plan, however, and manages to persuade the Marleyan jerk in charge that she could take out the train on her own with a bag of hand grenades, rather than having to sacrifice the 800 Eldian soldiers. She actually manages to pull this off, but as she's running away, the allies open fire on her, and Falco, one of her friends, runs out to help her, probably for no real reason other than because he likes her. I don't really see what he thought he was going to do there. Still, with them in the comparative safety of a trench, we see a Titan we haven't seen before loom over and then go on the attack. Since it was mentioned earlier that they'd be using the Cart Titan, which is presumably what they call the quadruped Titan we saw in Season 3, who also appears here, and the Jaws Titan, this must be the Jaws Titan, and therefore probably the person who ate Ymir and gained her powers. So Ymir is dead. We don't see this guy in his human form in this episode, though he looks like he's going to be male, and we do find out his name is Gaillard. It is mentioned earlier in the episode that to win this battle, the Armoured Titan was to be their shield and the Beast Titan their spear, and we see what this meant, as an airship comes over and drops out a whole load of scared looking guys. Zeke and Reiner are also there, and Zeke uses his Beast Titan powers to turn all of these men into Titans in freefall. Some of them are killed on impact, but the rest of them set about munching the allied troops, and Reiner then joins the fray, turning into the Armoured Titan after parachuting out. He goes on a destructive rampage, though the Allies' weapons do manage to take one of his arms off, showing that they do have technology capable of dealing with even Titan armour at this point in time. With the battle to take Slova out essentially won, Zeke in his Beast Titan form hurls munitions at the fleet of ships outside the port, but is surprised when the ships fire back. Reiner is badly damaged, though I think we can assume this isn't going to be the end of him, given how much damage we saw him take in Season 3 and survive, thanks to his special ability to move his consciousness throughout his nervous system. The result of all this then is that Marley win their war, but they're rightly very concerned that the technology of their enemies is starting to make their Titans less of a threat than they once were. The consequence being that their thoughts once again turn to taking on Paradise Island and bolstering their Titan capabilities with the power of the founding Titan. So that's a recap of what happened in the episode, but what are the biggest questions we now have as we look to the rest of the season? Well, the biggest of all has to be what's going on Paradise Island, and where are Eren, Mikasa, Armin, Levi, Hanji, Sasha, Connie, Jean, and all of those people. 4 years have passed since Historia was instated as queen, and the truths of the world were discovered in Eren's basement, and we don't yet know what our usual main characters have been doing in that time. Did they cross the sea and are now actually in Marley too, hiding out and planning something, or are they still on the island? And how have things changed within the walls in what we can assume are 4 years of relative peace? Still, since this episode instead went about starting to answer a lot of the questions we had after learning that the world of Attack on Titan was not what it seemed, and showing us the culture and place those who'd seemed like the enemies of humanity earlier in the story had come from, there is a huge amount to unpack. We already had plenty of lingering questions about Zeke from Season 3, after seeing his strange interaction with Eren, where he told Eren he wanted to save him, before Eren found out the truth of who he was. And it looks like in this period of the story spent in Marley, we should get to see more of what Zeke is like, and what he's up to when he's interacting with his own side. With the new characters we saw here like Gabi, Colt and Gaillard, we may also be seeing the people who will take on the Titan Shifter abilities we have seen in other hands before, and who may become important enemies for our main characters in the Survey Corps later on. Though where we do continue to see how Marley oppresses the Eldians, something that carries on from Grisha Jaeger's story, things aren't so black and white, and it's more than possible to sympathise with the Eldians fighting for Marley. And if it's possible for us to sympathise with them, maybe it's possible for some of the Eldians from inside the walls to consider trying to ally with them to take down Marley itself too. When it comes to the new characters, it undoubtedly looks like Gabi is going to be the one we're going to be following the most for this part of the story, where she got plenty of screen time, got to do something badass in her underwear, and got to have a little rant about how she's ready to kill everyone on the island. She seems like the shoo-in to be the chosen one to eat our boy Reiner, but it feels like of the rest of that group, Falco shouldn't be underestimated, given his clear protectiveness over Gabi. It seems like those two are going to be important, and Udo and Zofia probably not so much, but this series has been known to surprise us with that sort of thing. I mean, who really thought Krista and Ymir were going to be important from Season 1? Finally, there was that mysterious scene at the end while the voiceover summed up Marley's position after the battle, where it focused in on one man buying a newspaper. He could be a new character we're going to see more of soon, or, of course, he could be a character we know who's made it over to Marley from Paradise. With the time skip, we can expect that, especially the teenage characters, will look a lot different now. And so, yeah, it could be that this is our first indication that Eren is in Marley, or perhaps one of the other characters we know. But since there was no little wink to camera type moment to confirm anything like that, for now he's supposed to be theory bait, I suppose. I'm not going to talk about the opening and ending too much in this video. I think I'll leave that to another video comparing them to the ones from the other seasons. But I have already seen on Twitter that the OP has been getting a mixed reception. So I'll just throw in that I really like the music and I think it fits nicely with what's to come. And while it's not as visually dense as previous openings, I suspect that this is just to avoid spoilers, going for a more general, symbolic war type feel, rather than revealing any specific characters before they show up in the series. It's possible there might be a different opening sequence used later on when that becomes less of a concern, once we've seen the key players and the older versions of existing characters and they've all properly been revealed in the show. But for now, I think they did a good job of making something with the right feel that also doesn't spoil anything. So what did you guys think? Let me know your thoughts on the episode in the comments. I would just ask that if you post any spoilers, you put a warning and a few line breaks before the spoiler stuff, just so people have to click to see the spoiler. I don't mind seeing manga spoilers myself because I've read it, but I want to keep these episode reviews safe for anime onlys, so I will probably have to remove any comments with spoilers that don't have that format. Everyone's usually really good about this on my ReZero videos, so I'm not nagging you guys. It's just a reminder that this one isn't a spoiler video, so use the warnings. As before, please subscribe if you want to see more of my Attack on Titan content, including reviews of each new episode, and please give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again very soon.